Welcome. Today's episode will be a quick extract from My Teacher's a Monk. It is a 2003 documentary about a boarding school in North Yorkshire known as Ampleforth College, which is attached to a monastery called Ampleforth as well, and is adjacent to a village with the same name. It will start with a history teacher explaining the difference between his monastic employers and most what you might call normal people, or as the church says, lay people. And then there will be a scene where one of the monks is giving a sex ed lesson to the boys. I hope you enjoy.
Always part of the decision-making processes, but you can accept that if you realise you're working for the family business, and it's some of the big decisions are not necessarily yours to make. Where they're different, of course, is that their vocation is different. Your vocation, my vocation in life, is to be a father, family man. Their vocation is to seek God in community. So they just think slightly differently to the way we think. And because they think slightly differently to the way we think, they make us think slightly differently.
The monks may have dedicated their lives to prayer, but they still teach and get involved in some surprising areas.
If you've been having sex in this country, there's a list of common diseases which can be looked for. They're going to ask you something about your sexual behaviour, what you do. Don't be surprised by that, because they've got to look in the right place for possible infections. No point in looking at your penis if in fact your interest is in oral sex and you've come because your sexual partner has said that he or she has an infection. You know, you may find this kind of appearance, or you may get that kind of appearance as a similar organism, or this. Oh. Settle down, Mr. Freeland.
So if you have sex with a girl who's got it, do you always then get it yourself?
That's a very interesting question, and difficult to be absolutely sure about that, because when I come to talk about girls, you're going to discover that girls have a much higher incidence of lack of symptoms, and that will perhaps tell you that it can be difficult to be absolutely sure exactly how many people get infected. But you've got a good chance if she has gonococci in her vagina. Okay? I could stand at the front and say, sex is not good news for you. And it would have absolutely no impact at all, really, because even though I doctored before I entered the monastery, I'm a monk, therefore, almost by definition, I shouldn't know too much about this anyway. So I think you should go back to the facts, the data, and let them make their own judgments, which they will do anyway. They'll make their own judgment, whether you like it or not.
It is also interesting to note that the gentleman you just saw later became the abbot. The abbots serve a 10-year term and are elected by the community. Thank you very much for listening. Oh, another interesting thing to note, there was no moralising of the different things they were talking about, and it was purely the mechanics and biology of what goes on, and the inclusive language, despite being talking to a room full of boys, by a monk, a Catholic monk and a Catholic priest. Thank you, and good night.